right, welcome everyone to All Bases Covered. This is Jessie Rodriguez Melendez, and I am super excited about having this special guest on today. Her name is Joey Lai, and she is on her way to the Olympics. So, oh my God, is this exciting? So Joey, welcome. And why don't you start off by telling us a little bit about yourself and telling us how excited are you about going to the Olympics?
Thank you so much, Jessie. I'm so happy to be here. Happy to have a chat with you. And yeah, so I grew up in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, and played sports my whole life growing up. And just when I was getting ready to go to college, was trying to figure out what I wanted to do, where I wanted to go. And I knew three things. I wanted a good education, I wanted to play softball, and I wanted to play hockey. And so finding a place that could check all three of those boxes for me turned out to be pretty challenging, which ended up being great because it narrowed my choices down. And I ended up at Williams College, a small Division III school in Massachusetts. And I had no idea what I wanted to do when I graduated. And my softball coach ended up allowing me to stay on and coach with her. There was a coaching transition with hockey at that time, and I was able to assist with that team as well. And my career kind of took off from there. I was 2 years coaching at Williams and then got my first head softball position down in Maryland at Stevenson University. Was there for 5 years and had a couple moves since then. Jumped up to Bucknell and coached Division I for a couple of years, and then decided in July to step away to focus full-time on training. And I'd been a part of the national program since 2010, and we haven't been in the Olympics since '08 as a sport. And so it's extremely, extremely exciting to have now persevered through this pandemic and gotten a little extra training in and preparation in. And currently I'm one of 18 athletes that will be continuing to fight for those 15 roster spots for Team Canada as we get ready to compete in Tokyo. So pretty exciting spot to be in.
Wow, that's amazing. And so tell me, how did, like, when did you pivot? When did you say, you know what, I really want to give myself this chance? Because you were already working, right? You were already coaching and you had your positions. So when did you say, okay, I really want to do this?
More so just focus on training, you mean?
No, when you were presented, I guess, with the opportunity to represent Canada in the Olympics, how did you say, okay, you know what, I'm really going to do that?
Yeah. So funny story back to the beginning of Team Canada. My parents called me up one day towards the end of my senior year of college and said, guess what? We've signed you up for a Team Canada tryout. I said, what? You did what? And so, yeah, I was very hesitant. They were not, and forced me to go, convinced me it was a good idea. And so I went to that open tryout. It was, there'd been turnover from after '08, since that was the last Olympics, and there was a new coaching staff. And so they held some open tryouts. And so I went and was extremely nervous, did not play as well as I could have during that tryout, but ended up getting invited to the final camp. And so I started kind of gaining hope, getting excited, like, is this a possibility? And then I ended up being one of the final cuts. So this was back in 2009. And so within a 2-week span, I went from thinking, why am I here, to, oh my goodness, I'm so close. And it lit such a fire within me. And I just trained my butt off. I asked the coaches what I needed to work on. And my coaches at Williams that I was now working with were awesome, helping me train. And, I could use the facilities on campus to keep lifting and conditioning, and worked with the track coach on campus to help my sprint mechanics, and just try to do every little thing that I could before going back that next year. And so from 2010 through until this past summer was kind of juggling my career and playing and training. And yeah, so it was a lot. It pushed me in many, many ways. And last July, stepping into my training shoes full time, it has kind of opened my eyes to what life as an athlete is like. And, as a female athlete, or as, many Olympic athletes would say, it's not super easy with regard to the finance side, but just with regard to getting what I need training wise, it has been amazing. And just the support network that's out there, the people who are willing to help, and the resources that are out there, it's been such an incredible experience.
So walk us through a day. What is your training regimen like?
So when I'm with the team, we wake up probably around 7 or 8. And then an hour later, we're getting, piling into our vans and going to the training facility. And in the morning, we'll spend some time working on defense, whether that's positionally, infielders working together, outfielders working together, catchers, pitchers, and get some work in that way. And then we'll come together as a group and do some full team defense, often with live base running, so that we can get those live reads in both as runners and as fielders. And then we'll break for lunch. Then we'll come back and get warmed up to either scrimmage, do simulated gameplay, or some kind of challenge that's putting us in that game mindset. Mm-hmm. And that'll take us probably until about 2:30, 3 o'clock. And then it's, either time for some conditioning or back to the hotel to get our treatment in, jump on the bikes, get recovered, and definitely some food in there as well. And then when we're off on our own, so in a period like this where we're between team training segments, it can often look similar. I spend a lot of my time, during this past year, I've spent a decent amount of time training at S2 Breakthrough in Illinois, which is an amazing space. And, for me, my schedule is about the same. I show up there at 10 a.m. Monday through Friday and, jump right into softball skills for a few hours, break for lunch, and then get a lift in, get my conditioning done. And I'm there usually until about 3:30 or so. So it's a full day's work, and, getting some conditioning and a little extra softball in on the weekend as well. Sunday, definitely taking a full off day, and kind of throughout the week, just making sure that I'm listening to my body, especially at 33, and just understanding that I might have to take a day off here or there to recover and make sure I'm staying fresh.
So how do you think this is going to change your perspective? I'm assuming that once you're done with your competition, will you go back to being a full-time coach? Is that what your goal is?
That is a great question. I think right now I have my hands in a few different part-time coaching positions. I've stepped away from the college game, and I'm trying, different areas, 2 of which are softball related, working with either directly with youth players or with the trainers and coaches that will be working with the players. And then another opportunity that's more, it's, I'm a bucket list coach. What is that? But it's more so working with mainly adults, of any age. And so it's many different avenues of coaching, and I'm interested to explore those when I hang up my cleats a little more deeply, and see, if those opportunities keep me passionate and motivated, or if I would want to transition back into the college world. I'm not really sure at this point.
And because now you obviously are, ready, and you're preparing for, this is very high level, right? This is like super exciting what you're going to be doing. You're going to be representing women, you're going to be representing the sport. So if you did go back to working with athletes, do you think you would empathize with them, or do you think you'd be harder on them?
I think I had been in a pretty unique position continuing to train as I was coaching athletes. And I think that forced me to be pretty empathetic. I'd come off of a hard training session myself right into working with athletes. And so having that understanding of what they're feeling like going through on that day. Right. Whereas I think as I get farther and farther away from it, you see coaches all over the show that are years out of what they used to do and having a harder time understanding what that athlete actually feels or what they're actually going through. So I'm hopeful that I can keep that mindset in some sense and hold on to it, since I have been fortunate enough to play, into my mid 30s. But only time will tell, I suppose.
And so during this whole COVID craziness, I mean, everybody's been affected one way or the other. I love hearing your story, because I love that you have pushed past not only your limits, but you've pushed past the circumstances and everything that's happening in our world. And it seems to me like you're a find a way, make a way kind of person. And is that the message you think athletes should really be hearing right now?
Absolutely. I think my whole life, even long before this pandemic hit, it was always find a way to make it happen. If you want something, there is a way to make it happen. Growing up, I was always told you're too small. You're not, you're not athletic enough. You're not big enough. You're not strong enough. And, I'm 5'3", so just a little tiny human, but those comments, I think, almost fueled me to want to prove those people wrong and to find a way to make it happen. I ended up going to a high school outside of my district that had an athletic program. So I was learning how to lift, how to condition, how to push myself from the age of 15 years old. And that was the start of finding the tools to feed the mentality that I had. And people told me I would never play sports in college. I would never play two sports in college. And so absolutely from day one, it was find a way to make what I want happen. And I think so many times in society, it's either society or it's someone in someone's life or an adult or someone who had their dreams crushed is going to tell a young person that's not possible, or maybe set your sights a little lower, or let's talk about what's more realistic. And my message is whatever you want to put the time and energy into is realistic.
Absolutely. And so which is your favorite of the two sports?
That's a great question as well. No, I get asked that a lot. And I would say,
because they're so different. They're so different.
They are so different.
Yeah, they're like opposite ends of the spectrum, so
yes,
it's interesting to me.
I like to say that as a Canadian, I was born with skates on, and it's hard to not have hockey as my number one sport. Right. And obviously there's been a lot more playing opportunities that I've been able to pursue on the softball side. I do hold it near and dear to my heart. But in my dreams, I still have my skates on, and I'm out there skating around and feeling that breeze in my face. But I do love softball a lot as well.
Are you a baseball fan?
I am not as diehard a fan as one would think. I'll watch a game if it's on, but I'm not diehard for a specific team. Definitely grew up watching the Blue Jays a bit, but there was just such a different culture around hockey. It was, we never ate dinner in front of the TV unless the hockey game was on.
And so what overall is your favorite team to watch?
Definitely the Toronto Maple Leafs. Okay. Yes, hands down, fun to watch. And it's been great that even through COVID, they've been able to find a way to make some form of season happen. So over the holidays, I was up at my parents' house. And so, the game was on every single night they were playing. So that was a lot of fun too.
I love it. So what do you want the Lai legacy to be?
Wow. That is a deep question. I love it. I think the conversation we had a little bit earlier just about the importance of the youth of today understanding their dreams can be a reality. And so for me personally, finding a way to continue to get that message out and continue to touch the lives of those young people who might be hearing differently from someone or from society, as I mentioned earlier, but just to continue that impact of what you want is possible if you're willing to put the work in.
I love that. Love it. So I want you to do us all a favor. I want you to go kick butt, representing all Northerners, really. I know you're our sister, sister country, but I'm just so excited to know and to have spoken to someone who's actually, going to potentially be representing all women. And we're all going to live vicariously through you.
Wow.
Not too much
Thank
pressure,
you.
right?
No, I look at that as motivation more so than pressure. I think it's cool in moments when things are getting tough, or, I'm tired and about to attack a lift, just thinking back to a conversation like this and thinking of how cool it is to have the opportunity that I do, and to remember the impact that I have on other people, and how many people are behind me cheering in that moment and beyond. So no pressure received here, just more motivation to go kick butt.
Awesome. So from one proud woman to another, I want to say thank you so much for giving me your time today. I am so going to share this this topic and this chat with so many people that I know it's going to really impact, especially young women and young women athletes right now, that I think really need to hear voices like yours in the midst of everything that's happening in our world. So thank you so much. You've got a huge fan in me, and now you're going to have a huge fan in many. So go do it all. How's that? Go do it all. If it's hockey, softball, representing us in the Olympics, go do it all and do it in good health.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you having me today. I appreciate your time, and I will do my best for you.
And we'll definitely stay in contact.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Joey.